Hey guys, today's video is on the ever popular, and I should say newly popular, Glock 44 and 22 long rifle. The reason why I'm a couple of days late getting a review out to you guys, because many of you have asked me, what's up, where's the pistol at? We know you're doing a review on it. Why haven't we seen anything? Truth be told, I was a little perplexed because this gun comes with the tag of perfection just like every other Glock, and I actually filmed the review Monday. I had many malfunctions. Now, it was all ammo related. However, if you look inside the instruction manual that comes with every single Glock, usually there is a blurb or two that says something specific to ammo, if ammo is potentially an issue. If nothing else, it gives you a heads up that, hey, we're not saying that it cycles and everything. And Glock kind of does touch on that, to be honest with you. Glock does make mention that, and I'm paraphrasing here, of course, that not all ammo may run properly, whatever. Their legal jargon behind it. However, I felt like it should have been more specific. And the reason why I say that is because there are so many varieties of 22 long rifle, and I found that certain varieties and certain bullet grain weights were where we had the most issues at a couple of days ago. So I felt like I would just scrap that whole other review because of the knowledge that I already had and quit trying to act like I didn't know if the gun was going to malfunction, because I knew that it was, because it continually did. And I felt like I would narrow it down more to ammo. You see, I have a bunch of ammo lined up here. Some of it is what I shot the other day, some of it is not. It's some newer stuff that I have not actually fired. What I've got, guys, is I have some, Federal, it's a value pack. It is, 36 grains, 1,260 feet per second. I've got some CCI, which generally works in most instances because it's some of the best 22 long rifle rounds out there. 36 grain, and it's going to be running at a whopping 1,260 feet per second. Some pretty high velocity stuff there. I did shoot this the other day. This is the Remington. It's also 36 grain, and it's, where is it? 1,280 feet per second. Okay, in the middle here, I've got a 38 grain Federal also. Again, not 36. We have a 38 grain running at 1,100 feet per second. No, I take that back. 1,260 feet per second. I'm looking at the number of cartridges in the box. So again, 38 grain running at 1,260 feet per second. And then over here, I have some higher velocity stuff. This stuff, I should say, heavier stuff, not higher velocity. This is a 40 grain CCI. This round right here ran flawless the other day. Kind of a lead head. 40 grain, only 1,070 feet per second. Again, had no issues with it. This is the second brick that I had run. Absolutely no issues with it. What I want to try is, I have some Winchester 40 grain in that's 1,300 feet per second. And then I have much higher velocity. They actually call it hyper velocity. 40 grain that's runs at 1,435 feet per second. I'm pretty sure, as you guys probably know and probably have deduced by looking at other videos and whatnot, that 40 grain is probably the ideal bullet weight for the Glock 44. I just want to confirm that by using some different types of feet per second, some velocities, to make sure that the actual load isn't somewhat of an issue, like part of the equation, rather than just assuming that the bullet weight is the only thing. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to talk about the gun. I shot it quite a bit. I shot probably close to 900 rounds. I think I'd ended the last video at 600 and something, and I've shot quite a bit since then. The gun feels great. I see this gun as a great practicing tool. It has the very, very familiar ergonomic feel of course, your Glock 19. It's identical to the Glock 19. They have the same profile, the same feel in the hand. The difference is, of course, the weight. You have a much lighter Glock 44. The reason for that much lighter Glock 44 it's not only when you have a loaded magazine, and we'll get to the 10-round magazine here in a second, but the loaded magazine is, of course, much lighter than your loaded magazine in a Glock 19. However, the slide, that's where you really realize most of your bullet weight difference, your pistol weight difference. What you've got is essentially the bulk of the slide is a polymer slide. Now, the rails on it are made out of steel. They have to be made out of steel. There's no way this thing is going to function, at least in a lifespan of a gun, riding on rails if you ran plastic on top of the metal rails of your frame. Therefore, they have these steel rails built into here. The rest of the frame is out of polymer. Now, that's also necessary. You may be thinking, why aren't they running a full metal slide on this like all the other Glocks? Simply because of the 22. The 22 doesn't have the blowback that so many of these other ones do to send a heavy slide like that back. the mass of the round is too small. It's not going to generate as much felt recoil, and of course the powder inside is much less than your 9mm rounds and some of your others. So there's just not enough power to push a heavy slide like that back. Therefore, that's why they have this plastic slide. The bulk of the slide is plastic. It's got adjustable sights on it. I've heard that some people need that. Honestly, guys, I did not see that sighting in was an issue of me. I had point of aim was pretty true, relatively true. Again, I'm not the greatest shot in the world, so I have to attribute some of my missed shots for that, and I will do that today. I will show you guys some accuracy tests that I do. But overall, the gun feels great. Have no issues with any of that. It is a Glock. I didn't buy it for the looks. None of the Glocks that I have I bought for looks. None of them. Not even the pretty gold ones that they send me here. But you know, they're utilitarian. These guys work. You get them dirty, you get them wet, you don't clean them, all that good stuff, and typically they're going to still work. So that's why I've leaned towards them. I'm not a Glock fanboy. Glock is not my favorite brand. I happen to probably have more or as many Glocks as any other pistol, again, due to the use. I use these in the real world, guys. I use my pistols, I use my weapons. They're not save queens. I've shot everything that I own. They don't hang on a wall for looks. They hang on a wall afterwards, but not for looks. So again, I buy these. The reason why I own so many Glocks is because they actually work. So I hold Glock to that standard whenever they put a product out. I expect these things to run all the time. I was a little bit disappointed in some of the problems I had a couple days ago with the 44. So I'm hoping that I can narrow it down using these different types of ammo. So let's get right into it. We're going to start out with what I already shot the other day, but the Federal and 36 grain. I want you guys to see the frequency of that. Now, for the sake of being honest and as truthful as I can with this review, I did clean this gun. I do want to give it a chance. I do want to narrow down what type of ammo it is. I'm not trying to hoodwink Glock or any of the viewers out there. I'm not trying to make Glock look bad. It's simply I'm trying to deliver the truth as best I can. So I cleaned this thing up to simulate it being brand new, although if it did require a break-in period, I gave it that. Again, with 900 and something rounds in it, it is broken in. So I wouldn't expect any more than that for a break-in. My God, you don't have to run 1,000 rounds through a 1911 and they require a break-in period. So this thing is, by all standards, broken in already. All right, guys, let's get to it. I am using some different ear protection today. Today I'm using some Peltor. I'm not sure what the model number is, but I'll try to post it on screen. Made by 3M. Great headset. I really like them. They're actually Bluetooth activated, so it will tell me if somebody's texting me or emailing me or whatever on my phone. Not that I really will make much use of that, but it's there. So again, guys, for the sake of all the ammo that I'm running through here, 7 different brands today, I'm actually going to run one magazine at a time, and when we have malfunctions with those magazines, we will run more through that of the same ammunition. And at the end of the day, I may run more of all of them just to see if I get a malfunction from some of the other ammunition manufacturers. But let's go ahead and get started here. This again is the Federal 36 grain, and let's give this a shot, guys. I got to tell you, not one malfunction, as you guys can see. I had malfunctions with this one the other day. So let me load up my CCI 22. This is going to be the 36 grain, 1,260 feet per second. So yeah, I'm thinking cleaning is the issue, guys. Seriously, you saw me clean it with simply rim oil and a rag. That could have been the issue, because I was routinely having every 5th or 6th round in that same Federal, I was having an issue with it. So 22 burns dirty anyway, so it's possible that I just had maybe dirtied the gun up. So let's run this next one. All right, CCI, 1,260 feet per second, 36 grain. That worked fine too. Let's move on to the Remington that I was also having problems with yesterday. Here we go. Okay, it's in battery. I see the round there. Did not lock open, but honestly, guys, I tend to run my right thumb right next to the slide catch, and I did notice yesterday this thing's extremely sensitive, in that if I was touching it, it simply did not lock open. And I get that with that extremely light slide and all that, so that's a little bit sensitive nature. So I can't really blame the gun. That's most likely a user error. We're gonna move on to what I did not shoot yesterday. I did not shoot this 38 grain Federal. This stuff is moving at 1,260 feet per second. I don't think velocity is the issue here. Again, I think it is bullet weight, grain weight. So let's load these 38s up. I only shot 36 and 40 the other day, no 38s. I don't anticipate a problem with this, but let's run it. Now this pistol is getting dirtier as we shoot, so probably good that we started with the lighter grain moving to the heavier. I think if we might have done it opposite, we might have seen a little bit different results. But nevertheless, here we go. Not even the slightest hiccup with the 38 grain. Let's move on to our 40 grain varieties. Definitely don't anticipate any issues with these guys. All right, this is the CCI that I ran yesterday. No issues yesterday. Don't expect any today. Try to keep my thumb off the slide catch. As anticipated. Let's move on to the higher velocity 40 grainers. Okay, we've got a 40 grain bullet running at 1,300 feet per second right here. Let's see what we do here. Last 40 grainer, much faster one. 1,435 feet per second, 40 grain round here. No issues there. We didn't expect that, right? Not with the 40 grainers. It's kind of making me wonder. I'm going to run several magazines, and I'm not trying to make this thing fail. I'm just trying to satisfy some curiosity that I may have, that maybe it really is a break-in period. Glock has always fancied itself as being great right out of the box, and while the gun might be great and reliable now, maybe it wasn't right out of the box. And thank you, whoever you believe in, God, whomever, for blessing me with this wonderful sunshine all of a sudden. It's clearing up and looking beautiful out here in South Louisiana. But yeah, let's run. I'm gonna go a couple of magazines of the 36 grain Federal. That was one of the ones I was having a lot of issues with. The Remington I had the most issues with. You know what, let's jump to the Remington first. Let's do that one first, because I had the most issues with that round a couple days ago. I'm talking every fourth or fifth round for sure, for certain. I could count on it. Every new mag, the fourth or fifth would do that. So let's run those, and I want to just see if that's an issue. I want to see if it's break-in, and I want to see if cleaning the gun is certainly an issue. Again, guys, Glock has always made the claim that there was no break-in, and cleaning it, yeah, that was more of an option, a suggestion, than anything else. It sounds like you might need to on this guy. This is the one I had the most issues with. And just so you can see, this is my target out here. I'm all over the target because I'm shooting kind of fast and some, but it is staying on target. Point of aim is pretty good. Seems like I'm shooting a little bit high, but we're talking about a target that's 12, 13 yards away, and seems to be pretty accurate. No issues with that 10 round magazine. All right, this is kind of what I was experiencing yesterday. Maybe it's getting dirty now. It's kind of a reverse stovepipe, if you will, in that it is definitely, it has loaded the other round, but the other one had not extracted, which means that the slide got out of the way, because it did pick up the next round, if you can see that. The slide certainly got out of the way. It is in battery, so it's possible that, and we'll look back at the video, that thing could have been tumbling. And this is, again, kind of weird. Yeah, it's starting to get nasty again. Yeah, it's doing the same thing still. Okay, friends, I felt this was important to show you guys. This is how an extractor and ejector exchange is supposed to work on the Glock 44. The slide goes back, and by the way, I do have a spent casing in here. but there's no loaded magazine in here. So I have my hand over the muzzle to help me, at least towards the muzzle front portion, to help me get a better grip. But I'm gonna push the slide backwards, and you'll notice the spent casing is grabbed by the extractor, which is right over here, grabbing the lip of the spent casing. As it goes rearward, the ejector will expose itself, and it's supposed to push the spent casing out like that. That's the ejector right there, that little lip. In many cases, it seems like when the slide goes back, it's not throwing that spent casing out like it's supposed to. Let me show you how it's supposed to act. Now, the extractor is supposed to have a pretty tight grasp on the lip, as it appears to here, but the ejector, when it hits it, is supposed to flip that thing out of the way based on the tension of the extractor and the push of the ejector. And as you see, it lazily just falls down. You see what I mean? It doesn't flip it out to the right of the pistol. It just kind of kicks it a little bit. So it's like the tension is not strong enough there. I do think it is a grime issue, a cleaning issue. But what I want to do out of fairness to make sure the CCI 40 grain that I ran yesterday, that I had no issues with, I had no issues with it today either. I do want to run it now that the pistol is nice and dirty and see if that does cause a malfunction, or if that additional grain weight is still enough mass pushing forward to send that slide back a little bit harder to prevent any malfunctions. Apparently so. I mean, not even so much as a hiccup. Okay, first thoughts are, it feels familiar. Obviously, they didn't recreate the wheel with this. But regardless of what Glock is going to tell us, and again, I am an avid Glock customer. I believe in the brand as far as the reliability of it. Again, I never have purchased a Glock gun because I said that's a beautiful pistol. I purchased them because they work. This is one that I carry often. I have one on my side right now, for God's sake. I understand that some guns require cleaning, and I understand that some guns are ammunition specific. Believe me, I get that. This will not be the first off-the-shelf pistol that required specific ammo and a reminder to clean your gun often. However, I have no breakages or any kind, no parts flying out of it like I've seen some folks online have had issues. I've got no breaking slides. And guys, I'm already over probably 1,400 rounds on this thing. So I do think from a durability standpoint, the gun will hold up. It does appear to hold up. It actually feels like it's breaking in. And again, I know Glock people don't want to hear that because Glocks don't need to be broken in, according to Glock. However, I do think that it's running better now, smoother now. The slide even, I mean, it charges a little bit smoother now. I think any burrs that you might have or any issues that you might have that might have prevented the thing from cycling quite as smooth, they're gone now. The thing runs impeccably. However, the dirtier it gets, the more stovepipes that I'm getting, the less extractions, the less ejections that I'm having. Again, some of those I think were the round falling back down in there because the slide was moving so quickly and the round was not, the spent casing was not, and then it fell back in. I think I had a couple of those. However, there were plenty, as the thing got dirty, of these things not ejecting properly. So, and again, they seem to be round specific. I ran back and ran some more of the Federal 36 grain, and today I'm not having issues with that round, and I had issues with it the other day. It appears the Remington is the only one. So I do think you can still run bulk ammo. That's my point, guys. I see a lot of reports out there saying you can't run bulk ammo. I do believe you can run bulk ammo. I think you have to, quote, break it in first, and then I think you have to keep this thing clean. As we all know, 22s tend to run dirty. There's a lot of gunpowder, a lot of spent gunpowder, and it makes for a dirty chamber, and that's all going to transfer to your rails, the breech face. All of that stuff is, I mean, look, we're talking about finely tuned machines, most pistols out there. A semi-automatic gun, a lot of stuff has to happen all at once, and you start throwing things in there that knock it off its preferred path, and you're going to run into some issues, and I do believe that's what we have here. I'm not going to sit here and say don't buy the Glock 44. I think it serves a purpose. Again, going into it knowing what I know, yeah, you know, buy it knowing you're going to have to clean it. Buy it knowing you're going to have to be ammo specific whenever you utilize it. But I see two uses for this gun. One of them being training. Okay, if you're going to train, no matter which one of these ammunition manufacturers or brands or grain rate weights you get, it's still going to be cheaper than running a 9mm round through here, right? So I think from a training standpoint, you could probably use whatever ammo you want after you break it in, but you know what? Focus on the 40. And that goes back to training again. You know what? And I know Glock did not plan this, but I'm going to tell you, sometimes I'll throw a snap cap in here to make sure that I do get some malfunctions. Guess what you might get with this gun? And I'm not saying Glock did this on purpose. Believe me, I'm not that gullible and naive. But you're going to be able to practice safely and cheaply clearing malfunctions from your pistol. Yes, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I do see that as a positive. I know what pistol I'm going to train with when I want to train with clearing malfunctions. Now I don't have to use snap caps. Now I don't have to know, okay, one of these magazines has a malfunction in it. Now it's just kind of a guessing game. So that is going to allow me to train a little bit more lifelike and real life. That's great. Again, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I'm not looking at that as a negative. I'm making a positive out of it. However, if you're buying this gun for a plinking gun, and again, I break these into two categories, training and plinking, you may be disappointed, because if you're going out to the range with a group of people and you buy a bunch of bulk, cheap ammo, if it ends up being this Remington that seems to run extremely dirty and not malfunction or not function as well, you might be disappointed. You may find yourself going out there to have a good time and tend to end up clearing a whole bunch of malfunctions. I can honestly say that I have seen people on public ranges and heavily populated ranges, when you start getting into clearing malfunctions, those can be some of the most dangerous times. And I mean that, guys. I mean, it all goes back to training, but I have seen people that have malfunctions and they look at it and they turn and they're flagging everybody with still a fully loaded weapon. And as you saw, some of my malfunctions actually had a loaded round in the chamber. So that's where I feel like, yes, plinking might still be fine with this, not necessarily training, but a lot of education and a lot of discipline has got to go into that to ensure that we don't hurt somebody on the range as we're clearing those rounds. We are usually going to introduce a new shooter to a gun like this. That's typically, you're taking the loud report and the heavy recoil impulse out of the equation. So usually this is a great tool to introduce that new person that might be looking to carry a full-size Glock 19 and 9mm. With that being said, if I'm training that green person how to run a Glock 19 and we end up with that many malfunctions, now I'm dealing with a potentially dangerous situation that I feel like we have to be forward thinking in how we present that to that new shooter, that, hey guys, this gun is prone to this. Expect this. When you get that, you need to be downrange, you need to keep that muzzle pointed downrange and let somebody that's qualified clear that round for you until you get proficient at it. Just some pointers, guys. I just want to make sure that we're not creating a dangerous situation, knowing that we're running with a gun that we can expect malfunctions as the day goes on, running all these dirtier rounds. So that's the main thing. You know what, my biggest, other than all that, other than the malfunctions that, again, I've come to expect now, my only real complaint, guys, magazines. 10-round magazine. Come on, Glock. You totally redesigned this magazine. It's not like any of your other magazines. You've started from the ground up with this and with a general design of the old magazine still in place, but for the most part, totally re-engineered. You couldn't come up with something more than 10? My goodness, I can fit 15 rounds into this Glock 19 magazine, which from a real estate standpoint is the exact same size. If I can fit 15 rounds into this with a metal casing inside with overmolded plastic over it, do you think you could have maybe gotten at least 15 into this one? And again, if I'm training to use my Glock 19, shouldn't that have been the goal, to get me 15 in here? Because that surely would have made my training a whole lot more realistic. Even if I get accepted to the fact that I'm going to have malfunctions, that's going to happen in a normal Glock anyway. So I would really have liked to have seen Glock do a better job. Now maybe they are moving this on to some guy that has paid them a lot of money in the aftermarket to design a 15, 20, 30 round magazine, I don't know, that holds 22 long rifle. but by God, Glock, you could have done that. And to me, that's a big step backwards. I don't know if that was, again, part of the master plan. It's possible that it was. It's possible that you're making so much money off of the aftermarket vendors out there that this was a beneficial move for you. But to me, it just seems like a bit of a misstep to me. I felt that I was able to keep most of my guns, my rounds on target. You can see my plate down here. It's just littered with 22 rounds. I appear to be somewhat left of center and a little bit high. All I can say is no one carries these for self-defense, and I shouldn't generalize like that. Most people do not carry these 22 long rifle for self-defense. If you have to, choose a different brand.